unlimited. You are vast and unlimited. You are vast and unlimited.
Awake. Awake. Put on your beautiful garments. Shake yourself from the dust. Arise.
Your mind is vast
In a dignified place.
and unlimited,
Loose yourself from the bonds of your neck.
and that is the deeper essence of your identity
The king is calling you.
and your existence. You are more than a body. Your mind is vast and unlimited, and that is the deeper essence of your identity and your existence. You are more than a body. Your mind is vast and unlimited, and that is the deeper essence of your identity and your existence. You are in perfect communication. You are in perfect communication. You are in perfect communication. You are in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. You need only withdraw your attention from your perception of your body. You need only withdraw your attention from your perception of your body to access communication with anyone at any time. You need only withdraw your attention from your perception of your body to access communication with anyone at any time. You are in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. You are more than a body. You are more than a body. You are more than your 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 body. You are more than a human being. You are more than a human being. You are more than a human being. You are more than your body. You are more than your body. Your mind is vast. Your mind is vast and unlimited. And that is the deeper essence of your identity. That is the deeper essence of your existence. You are in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. You need only withdraw your attention from your perception of your body to access communication with anyone at any time. You are not a body. You are free. You are still as God created you. You are not a body, you are free. You are still as God created you. You are not a body, you are free. You are still as God created you. Don't you just love taking spiritual showers together? Y'all didn't wash my back. What's up with that? I know my wings get in the way, but just put it over there to the side, you know. I decided to retract my horns for a little while. Only my friends see my horns. So, you don't have to believe anything I say tonight. You don't have to accept anything I say from a way of master tonight. You don't have to welcome it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to believe it. Some of the things that I say may be startling. I guarantee you from the way of mastery, some things that I say will probably be startling. And you're not asked to judge the ideas at all. Actually, it's the use of the ideas that will give them meaning to you and will show you that they're true. New means different. We're going to hear something new. I'm going to cover some material. Then I'm going to open it up for questions and discussion. for a short period of time, then I'm going to cover some more material. So while I'm covering the material, I won't be answering questions. Okay, so that way I'll get a complete thought out before we destroy it. Chris can't wait. Okay. He's anxious. He already you got your hand exercised and everything. You ready? You ready? Okay.
Go, Chris.
And he got the way of mastery. We're in the way of knowing, and we're going to be on the section that is thoughts will you decide which thoughts will influence your life.
Page.
It's page 325 in the book, and then I'm going to my book. If you're here for the first time, you're just looking for the reason why you were sent here. So that means that there's something you may hear tonight. It may be one sentence, it may be one word, it may be something that somebody else says, and you'll go, okay, you know. So it's not about believing everything that you hear. It's not about believing anything that you hear. The first stage of accepting the truth is to just hear it without feeling like you have to believe it. And then you keep repeating it and you accept it more and more. And then you keep repeating it and you accept it more and more with some reservations. And then finally you accept it as true. And when you accept it as true, then you see it in your perception and you see it in your outer world, because your outer world is a reflection of your consciousness and your thoughts. So whatever you are seeing and experiencing in your life right now, the way you're seeing it and the meaning that you're giving to it is coming from you. It's like you're giving this class all the meaning it has for you. You'll be the one that determines what it means to you, like we do everything. So I'm going to go through this, and it's really powerful. It says, all fields of thought then, in this sense, wash up to the shoreline of your being. All thoughts wash up to the shoreline of your being. You elect what influences will enter into your sphere. Some of those thoughts will pass through, and some of the thoughts you will begin to identify with. Let's say you were brought up in a home where you were constantly judged and criticized as being stupid and not enough. Then all the thoughts that you are worthy, powerful, and beautiful, you may allow those thoughts to pass through. And then you hear the thought, somebody say you're stupid, you're not enough, and you're guilty. And you hear that and identify with it, for example. Or the other way around. You've totally been taught that you're loved and you're appreciated and you're powerful and you're innocent. You hear those thoughts and you identify with it. And then the thoughts of criticism and judgment may be the thoughts you allow to just go past you and not identify with. So all these thoughts are passing through you, and you're choosing the ones that you grab and identify with and you say are true for you. So you will take those thoughts on as your thought. So what most people are calling their thoughts, in a sense, are just things they were taught to think, more so than what they are actually coming from looking within themselves. We would be shocked at how much we're mesmerized, hypnotized, and basically robots that are being programmed, and then we act out the program and we call it ourselves. So how can you tell if the thoughts you are accepting do not reflect who you really are? You can tell by the way you feel. You know, are you feeling peaceful? Are you feeling joyful? Are you feeling fulfilled? Are you feeling significant? Are you feeling connected? Those thoughts come from our real self. All the rest of the stuff is stuff that's made up, stories that we've been given, stories we've given ourselves. So it then says you will form an agreement with the nature of that thought. You will value that thought, and therefore, and this is the big part, create experiences that flow from your agreement, your evaluation. I'm a black man in America, so I can't make it, and I'm going to have a hard time. If I value that thought, and if I agree with that thought, then I will have experiences that flow from my agreement. You see? And so if I have those thoughts, then I'll meet people who match those thoughts. Okay? So for virtually all beings born within the human sphere, one such agreement is, so it's saying to us that everybody that's born into the human sphere, which is where we are here because of one agreement at a soul level. And that agreement is, I am just a body, and therefore I'm separate from others. That core belief, the way of mastery says, is what birthed us into the human sphere. Like if you're wondering how you ended up in this world of separation, it happened. It didn't just happen because two people had sex. it came from a decision of our soul to experience this realm. And the way a master is saying, the thought that created it is, I'm just a body and I'm separate. And that's what it looks like, does it not? It looks like we're bodies, and it certainly looks like we're separate. So sometimes the hardest things to accept are the obvious. Like we're looking for some really deep explanation as to why we're here. You wanted to be a body and you wanted to think you were separate. Now you're here. How you enjoying your trip? Well, how much you enjoying the trip depends on the thing we heard in the first paragraph, which is what thoughts are you forming agreement with, what thoughts are you valuing, and therefore what thoughts are you using to create the experience that's flowing from your agreement. That's your life. So no matter what I went through in my childhood, it doesn't matter anymore, because right now, in this moment, I can choose to think new thoughts. So I can't keep carrying my story about how I was brought up and what happened to me when I was a kid. This is the holy instant. This is right now. And right now, I can choose a different thought to agree with. So why would I hang on to a thought that no longer serves me? Well, actually, there's some kind of payoff that I'm getting out of keeping that thought. And that's why I don't want to let it go. There's a payoff. If I'm afraid of intimacy, well, then there's a payoff in me believing I can't trust women. Or I can't trust being in a relationship. Because the payoff is I can say I want to be in a relationship without ever having to actually enter one. And I can walk around saying I really want a relationship, but there's hardly anybody you can really trust and people hurt me. So hanging on to that thought gives me the opportunity to think that I really want to join, but there's just nobody for me to join with. That's the payoff. So you hang on to whatever the thought or the pattern or addiction is, as long as the payoff of having it means something to you. For virtually all beings born within the human sphere, one such agreement is, I'm just a body, and therefore I'm separate from others. This is merely an agreement, a decision to create experience. You are equally free to say within yourself, I'm more than a body. My mind is vast and unlimited. And that is the deeper essence of my identity and my existence. I am in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. I need only withdraw my attention from my perception of my body to access communication with anyone at any time. Recently, I was saying to myself, it's really funny, I was saying to myself that I would love to experience the Course in Miracles and what I study in an atmosphere of joy, movement, dance, laughter, almost like a festival type of atmosphere. Because I believe in learning spiritual lessons in a variety of moods and scenarios. The most common scenario is everyone sitting around quietly, not really expressing themselves in a very powerful, enthusiastic way. That's the most common way that I've noticed that people experience study groups and classes. It's a head trip, right? I like to shake my booty for God. It's a very powerful ritual that it creates incredible levels of joy and love. And people who are afraid of that, or that doesn't feel comfortable, then their first tendency, they don't watch it, is to judge that. Because what I'm afraid to do, I'll project on someone else as being unacceptable in many cases. Not in all cases, but in many cases. The minute somebody gets ready to do something that I'm afraid to do, I'm going to judge them for it. Because that'll justify me staying within the expression of myself that I'm comfortable with. Instead of just going, oh, that's another way to express yourself, that's cool, even if I don't do it that way. But something about the separated mind is it sometimes feels like it needs to judge everything that's different from itself, or condemn it in order to, rather than go, oh, you like to dance, but I'm more quiet. But God, let me see you move your booty. Because spiritual people think you don't say these kind of words, and you don't say those kind of words, and you don't say, we have all these rules about what spirituality looks like. You're not a guru, and you're not wise unless you're sitting like this. Now you're really a spiritual teacher. Because you got the spiritual teacher look. So just call me Shy Bubba. Okay? You know. So my point is, all these expressions are expressions of yourself because we are all one. And so all you're looking at when you look at me is another aspect of the being that's you. Doing the thing that the being that's you may not do as you. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. You know, like when I looked at the Bronco game and the Seahawks, I was saying, I'm going to win no matter who wins because I'm both teams. Mm-hmm. All I'm going to do is get a chance to see which one we've collectively decided, what part of myself we've collectively decided is going to appear to be the winner. Mm-hmm. So then I didn't lose no matter who won because I didn't see myself as separate from either team. They were all aspects of God and all aspects of me. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. See, whenever you're looking at things correctly, Spirit teaches there's no such thing as loss in spirit. That's just a concept we make up in a separated body. You know? So it goes on to say, I'm in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. I need only do what? Withdraw my attention from my perception of my body to access communication with anyone. So if I realized that we were one mind, instead of looking at it like we're all separate bodies, I would be in communication with everyone and conscious of their communication all the time. It's the idea that I'm my body separate from your body that keeps me from recognizing we're all part of the one mind. So I once said in A Course in Miracles that you've never forgotten the body even for a moment, and yet a moment is all it takes to realize you're not a body. I didn't say you didn't have a body. I said you're not a body. I didn't say you didn't have a coat. You're not your coat. I didn't say you didn't have a car. I said you're not your car. I used to identify with my material possessions to the point that I would say when someone hit my car, I would say, someone hit me today. Have you ever heard someone say that? Yeah. I got hit today. I mean, that's how much identification with our things that we have. You know, it was funny. I was over here getting ready to park, and I was turning into a part of the parking lot, and I heard the most horrendous noise. Oh, God. Okay, you know that feeling you get when you hear that kind of stuff. You know you brushed up against something that you didn't see, you know. And I was like, okay, all right, okay, let me take a look. Let me see what's going on. And I was just ready to look at the most horrendous scratch that I've ever, or whatever, because it sounds horrible. And I hit some kind of guy wire, and something you couldn't even see it in the dark. And I walked around to my car, and I prepared myself to see whatever it was, you know. And I looked, and I didn't see anything. And I looked, and I looked, and I didn't see anything. And it kind of blew my mind that I didn't see anything with what I heard. And I love how Spirit constantly teaches me that it might not be the way I think it is, and that my sense is not always right, you know. But I had to decide to give myself peace. I had to stop for a second and decide to give myself peace no matter what the car looked like. So I wasn't looking at the car based on the car better not look like it's not scratched. What I immediately wanted to do was realize I was going to give the scratch, or if that's what it was, that may still be. I mean, it's in the dark, I don't know. But my point is that I had to stop for a minute and make the decision that I was going to determine the meaning that I was giving to it. Because the meaning I was giving to it was going to determine how I felt about it and not the actual scratch itself. The scratch is neutral. The guy wire didn't say, oh, there's Earl. I'm going to scratch up his car. You know what I'm saying? It was a neutral event. And the way of mastery teaches that all events are neutral. That there's no such thing as an event that's not neutral. We're the one that gives it the meaning. He says because we don't have neutral thoughts about anything. All events are neutral, but we don't have any neutral thoughts. And that's interesting too to think about. Everything is neutral, but you don't have any neutral thoughts. I was coming down the elevator getting ready to come to the garage, and I had my bag over my arm, and so I was holding it like this, and the bag was like that. And I walked out of the elevator, and there's this young woman in a white body that was getting ready to get on the elevator, and she said to me, "Oh, you scared me." And I was thinking, I said, "Yeah, I'm a really scary dude." And I was walking, you know, I said, "Yeah, I'm really," because she recognized me at that point. But it was funny. She said I scared her. That's completely inaccurate. I was totally safe. What happened?
She scared herself.
She scared herself.
Right.
She scared herself, and then she said, I scared her. I make myself angry, and I say, you made me angry. I make myself jealous and I say, you made me jealous. That's the erroneous thoughts that we are learning that we've got to learn how to change. No one's making you feel anything. You're the one that's giving it the meaning. You're the one that's taking it. It was neutral. I just walked out the elevator. She gave it all the meaning. And the meaning that she gave it was she was in danger. And I'm sure it's related to her seeing a black man standing in front of her with his arm up like that. And she's in a young white body. Based on the things she's learned, read, experienced, looked at in the newspaper, and everything else. When I was growing up and I looked at the newspaper and television, and I would see the images portrayed of black men, I used to always say to myself, I don't blame anybody for being scared to death based on the images that they see, and that's all that they see. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because we're being programmed to react, and then we react to the meaning that we've been given. So when I look at TV, we're looking at a massive dose of concentrated fear. We're seeing every fearful thing magnified and then put and condensed into 30-minute segments. No wonder the evening news is where all of the medicine commercials are. Isn't that right? If you look at the evening news, they're full of nothing but medicine commercials for ills and stress. You need it after you get through looking at it, right? Right? So what I did, I started to use that as an opportunity to learn how to see it differently. And so I'll go through periods where I don't run from the news, I look at the news. And then I see it through the eyes of Christ, or the eyes of love. And go, okay, that's a call for God, that's a call for God, that's a call for God, that's a call for love, that's a call for love, oh, that's a call for love, oh, that's a call for love, ooh, that's another call for love, that's another call for love. Because that's my function. I'm in the world to be the eyes of love. Not to run away from it because I think it's so real that I can't stand to look at it. And I'll have periods that I don't want to look at it. And then I'll have periods that I'll choose to look at it. But I ask my internal guidance when to do it. Does that make sense to everybody? So what I'm saying is that whatever you're feeling right now is coming from the meaning that you're giving it. It's all neutral. He's saying, I don't mean by this that you should deny the body. When I say you're not a body, I'm not saying you should deny the body, but rather that you should be willing to surrender your perception of what the body is. And that means that it's not a device that separates you at all. So really, getting rid of my perception of the body simply means that I'm no longer seeing the body as something that separates me from people. Because I have been looking at the body as something that separates me from people. Then it says, why is this so? Well, you once decided to dream the impossible dream. Now this is an interesting description of why we ended up here. He says, you once decided to dream the impossible dream. I always want to do that. What's the impossible dream? The dream of separation. Because it's impossible that we are really separate. Then it says the body is the result of that thought of being separate. The body is the attempt to create something that succeeds in separating you from the mind of God. I'll say it again. The body is the result of the attempt to create something that succeeds in separating you from the mind of love. So I think my body has succeeded in separating me from God. So now it looks like God is something separate from me, or love is something separate from me. And where is the love located? Well, the love is located in your body. So therefore, I'm trying to get to your body so that I can experience the love that's in you, in your body. Deep. So it says, but you have never succeeded in separating yourself from the mind of God or the mind of love. For in the moment that began to emerge, the Holy Spirit, which is the part of you that's still aware of the truth, already translated the body into something that's not a separation device, but we are now using our body as a communication device. So originally we used our body to separate us. Now, if you notice, how am I using my body? To communicate, which means to join minds. To communicate is more than words. It means I'm using my body to join with your minds. So now it's a communication device. I failed when I wanted to use it to separate, but my higher self didn't fail, because now my higher self, called the Holy Spirit, is using my body to join with you in love. So now the purpose of my body is not to separate from people. Now the purpose of my body is to join with you. That's what we did. We got in our little we got our little vehicles of communication, and we came over here, and we're connecting, and we're joining. All right, I'm gonna stop right here for a second and throw it open for discussion or question for 5 minutes.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you release yourself from the blaming yourself when you have negative thoughts, when you are conscious of the fact that your thoughts are going to manifest themselves into action or reaction? How do you release yourself from the blame of having those negative thoughts?
What you do is, in my perception, you don't focus so much on the fact that you're trying not to think those thoughts or blaming yourself for those thoughts, as you would choose to focus on the new thoughts that you now want to start to accept and manifest. See, one of the tricks that many people do is they spend all their time trying to get rid of negative thoughts, as opposed to focusing on that which is the truth, because you can't hold two thoughts in your mind at the same time. So when I'm thinking about focusing on love, I'm not focused on fear. So it's really about changing my focus. You see what I'm saying? And what's really cool is blaming yourself is a form of attack and a form of punishment, and it really isn't changing anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just me punishing myself for what I think of my negative thoughts, which is different from saying, okay, I'm having thoughts. These thoughts were coming. I'm going to see them. I'm going to acknowledge it, but I'm going to see it as an odd processional, like a parade going by. I'm not enough. Nobody loves me. I'm ridiculously ugly. I'm absolutely awesome. All right. See, I'm a join with that one. So we always have, he said, these thoughts coming up against the shore of our being. Then we decide which ones we're going to grab and which ones we're going to let pass through. And remember this, no matter what negative thoughts you were thinking in the past, your point of power is in the present. And so if you will focus on the thoughts that you want to see and identify with now, those are the ones that have the most power. Thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future don't really have a lot of power, because thoughts of the past are focusing on something that's gone, and thoughts of the future are focusing on something that's not yet. So they don't exist, and the thoughts that are gone don't exist. So when people are thinking about the past or the future, the Course in Miracles says your mind is actually blank, because you're not thinking about anything that really exists in this moment, in linear time. So we've already, in a sense, achieved a Zen state of no mind most of the time. Because it says that our mind is actually blank when it's thinking of things that don't exist. So most people are walking around in the Zen state. They're very seldom actually in the present with their thoughts. You see what I'm saying?
But every thought is the past.
You know, well, I see only the past. I see only the past because I'm seeing my past learning projected outward. But an actual thought is present. He says, well, the Course teaches that what we see as our thoughts aren't actually real thoughts. He says what we're calling our thoughts are just images we're making. It says we are just image makers. And so we think those are thoughts, but really it's just images that I'm making up and reacting to. Then I have another image I make up and I'm reacting to. But a thought is beyond an image. A thought is permanent, everlasting, never ends, and creative. And so what we're trying to do is get out of the way so the thought of God, the thought of love, can do its thing through us.
Wow.
So he's saying you don't really do thoughts. You just do images based on the past and the future things you've learned. And that's why it seems to have no power. Well, my thoughts don't have no power. Well, you're not using thoughts. You're using your images. And so images just affect you. Do you know that you're making up an ego or an image or a personality or a perception for everybody in the room? Like a person might look at me and say, I think Earl just talks too much. I don't like him. Okay. Then, and I think he's arrogant. Do you notice that what that person just did was made up an image of me and then reacted to the image they made up as if the image was true? You see what I'm saying? And so, do you also make up images of yourself? Yeah, and then sometimes you criticize yourself based on what? The image you made up. So you make up an image of yourself, then you make up an image of your friends or your boss, and then you interact with the images you made up, and you change your mind about people without even interacting with them. Isn't it wild? It's like I can go from I don't like you to I love you without ever having a conversation with you. And I can react to you like I don't like you because I think you don't like me. Now, I haven't talked to you.
Yeah.
And then I change my mind and go, well, I think she's a pretty good person. So I've had this whole relationship with you that you weren't even included in. Kind of sounds like my marriage. I was in a relationship with somebody that wasn't even there. That's deep, yeah.
So Earl, you bring up something interesting, because I was just thinking about this, because a lot of times like emotions will come up, and I want to interpret it because I'm thinking, oh well, I need direction, but you just helped me, because what happens is these emotions will come up, and then immediately I project images on them, and then I'm thinking that's my direction, and I react to that instead of just quieting the mind.
And that's what we're learning how to do. We're learning how to tell the difference between perception and reality. Perception and what is. And another word for perception that would make it easier for you to deal with that term is interpretation. Perception is interpretation. So when you say you're seeing me, you're really interpreting me. And so if you say I want to change my perception of my husband, you're saying I want to change my interpretation of my husband, my interpretation of my boss, my interpretation of my job. And when I change the interpretation, I change my emotional reaction. And then I feel peaceful, right? If I got an image of you that's loving, then I feel peaceful in your presence, right? So that means we do have control over our emotions. I used to think you couldn't help but feel certain things until I realized, no, you're reacting to your interpretation. So theoretically, you could experience peace all the time if you had the capability of giving yourself interpretations that gave you peace all the time. Like when my mother made her transition, I used what the truth taught me about us being eternally valid and not our bodies, and that we're souls who live beyond the body. That interpretation gave me more peace about the transition of my mother. What I told myself, my sister went through an experience where her son was murdered, as the world would call it. And she was devastated, naturally. And she said, out of all our relatives, what I said to her helped her the most, in that I gave her interpretations of his eternal validity beyond his body. Now, I can't prove it, but that interpretation gave her more peace than the interpretation that he was a body that was destroyed, that no longer existed, that was gone. You follow what I'm saying? So that's true of everything. The way you're feeling is coming from your interpretation that you're giving it. And these kind of books like Way of Mastery, Course in Miracles, and other truth books, what they're really doing is they're giving us the new interpretations based on truth to use so that we can have a different experience of our lives. But the average person won't get a spiritual practice where they're actually studying and hearing new things in new ways. They try to make it up as they go along. And that's a boo-boo. Because I need to learn how to listen to wisdom that's greater than the wisdom that I have as a limited perception of myself as a human being. So we already really have the answers already given to us. It's just a matter of, will I take the time to learn the new meanings that will give my life the peace? It's already done. The book is already done. Will you take the time to learn the new interpretation so you can have more peace? Now, what's the advantage of having more peace? It's only when you have peace that you can hear the voice for God inside of you. Because in the end, you want to learn how to hear your own inner guidance. Because all of us have it. But we don't hear it because we're listening to our own conflicted thoughts, fearful thoughts that we've learned from the past. So you want to go from a conflicted mind to a peaceful mind. And then from a peaceful mind, you will hear what God is telling you to do in every situation. Because that inner voice is always directing you. But it's not any louder than your willingness to listen. That's as loud as God's voice gets. It's as loud as your willingness to hear it. That's as loud as it gets. Notice the ego voice is really loud. The voice that says we're in danger. The voice that says we're threatened. Notice how loud that voice is. Why? Because that's the voice I'm willing to listen to. Now the voice that says this stuff to me is the loud voice. And the voice of the world to me is very faint. And I never thought that would happen. But it is. And then there's a world that corresponds with it that's coming into my perception more and more every friggin' day. Isn't that good news?
Yeah.
But that didn't happen by accident. My butt been studying, meditating, teaching, going to groups for years. It didn't happen because I just, well, Holy Spirit, just help me out. You know, you have been helped out, brother. You've been given tons of new ways to look at things. You have been helped. Avail yourself. And you're totally handsome. That must be the voice for God. That's how I can tell. I can tell when God's talking to me. I can tell. It's not the voice that says, you're kind of stupid. Might not be the voice. Might not be the voice. Like a little people, how can I tell the difference between the voice of the ego and the voice from God? Right, that's the simplest thing in the world. One voice is a loving, supportive, nurturing voice, and the other one is saying stuff that's judgment, condemnation, criticism, and fear. In the story. I mean, could there be more opposite in their nature? That's why it's so funny. People say, well, how can I tell if this is God? You know, are you terrified, want to attack, and feel endangered and defensive? It might not be the voice of love. Just going out on a limb here, but it just might not be. How can I tell if they love me? Is it supportive, loving, nurturing? Or is it condemning you, judging you, criticizing you, and going off on you? But see, what messes with our minds is that people will attack us and then say, I love you. And it hooks us every time.
Yeah, no.
I just got through abusing you, but I really do love you. And then you go, and then if you don't love yourself, you stay right in it. It couldn't pry you out of it. If you don't love yourself. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next part. That means that the body itself is constantly receiving input in the form of subtle energy, vibration, from everything and everyone around it. In other words, you are like a giant radio station. You are like a giant radio station that is picking up and transmitting signals constantly. You with me on that? If you would like proof of this, and especially if you would like proof of how powerful thought is as it expresses vibration through the body, simply create what you call in your world dowsing rods. Take 2 pieces of metal, it could be 2 parts of a coat hanger, bend them so that you can gently hold one end and hold them in your hands about 6 inches from your body. Then have a friend stand about 20 feet away and have that friend think thoughts of negativity, such as I'm unworthy, I'm not worthy of being loved, I have no energy, I'm not worth anything. And as they are doing that, walk toward them and see how close you get before your dowsing rods of metal begin to move around. Then back up and find just the edge of where their energy field is influencing the rods. Then back up another 20 or 30 feet and have them change their mind. In other words, have them begin to think loving thoughts, such as I'm one with God, love flows through me perfectly, I am glad to be alive. They need not even say it out loud. They need not move a muscle. They need only think differently. Then again, walk toward them. See where you find the point where the rods in your hands begin to move about. You will find that their energy field is much larger with a positive thought than with a negative thought. When you walk into a room and you're positive energy, you affect the whole room. You know, if you walk into a room and there are people that you love in that room, you affect the whole room. You know, I love that the negative thought doesn't have as much of a reach as the loving thought does. Now, your body is like a divining rod, and so is everybody else's. Therefore, those with confidence, those who love themselves, those who are not concerned with the good opinions of the world, those who are not concerned with the opinions of the world, those who are not concerned with the opinions of the world, who just go forward in the direction of what they love, those are the ones that seem to gain the greatest support in the universe. The people who get the greatest support in the universe are those who go forward in the direction that they love, regardless of other people's opinion. A lot of people, it's like there are like a lot of haters of their Madonna self. The singer Madonna. It's amazing to me how the press and everything else, whatever she does, they try to criticize every frigging thing that woman does. I call them haters. You know, people who are not nearly as successful as the person that they're criticizing in terms of making their impact. And so all they do is sit around and judge, right? Now, what I admired about her is this. She did just what this is saying. She went forward in the direction that she loved without being concerned about the opinions of others. And you know what's good about that? Because I'm learning that from being a teacher. I do not try to be a teacher that's liked by everybody. I just try to be Earl. I come up and I show up and I say, I'm not going to be the way a teacher's supposed to look. I'm not here to act out anybody else's perception of what a teacher is supposed to look like. I'm here to be me, authentically me with you. And I'm going to do that. Charisma is that. It's just a person being authentic. People, he has so much charisma. Well, it's just a person being themselves. They're not trying to be like they think they ought to be. They're actually being themselves. And what happens when you do that is that people have a definite reaction to you. They either really get you and are really drawn to you, or they're totally repelled. Now, if you're a wishy-washy person that's bland and a shade of gray and you're trying to please everybody, then you have some people around you that really dig you, and then you have some people around you who are counter, but they both together. But when you're totally authentic in love and who you are, then the people that really resonate to you, they are drawn to you, and those who don't, they get away from you. So the advantage of that is that you are left with the people who resonate with you. And so you can move forward because you're not dealing with a lot of opposition to who you are. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful, but you have to be willing to take a stand for who you are. You have to be willing to sound weird and to look weird, and you see what I mean? So be your authentic self so that you can be surrounded by the people who love you for who you are. Because those are going to be the ones that you can really, move forward in the direction of what you love with easily. And that doesn't mean you're surrounded by yes people. It means you're surrounded by people who love you, so therefore even if they're sharing their thoughts and advice or whatever, it's coming from a place of love and not a place of judgment. And that's what I want. I'm willing to hear your point of view, but let it be rooted in love and not in judgment. Okay? So it says why? Because when such a person walks into a bank to get a business loan, already knowing that this is a great idea and they're going to bring the fullness of their being to the idea and that they couldn't possibly fail, by just walking in the door, they're bringing an energy field that influences and touches the loan officer. The other night, I realized my insurance card had expired, but I hadn't changed it because it was the first of the year, and it expired at the end of the year. And I thought, oh my God, I don't have an insurance card. Suppose the police stop me. And so I went to print my card, and my printer was out of ink, and I couldn't do it, but I had somewhere I had to be. Got in my car, was driving to where I had to be, and guess what? You think there's a freaking accident as soon as I thought that? I said, oh my goodness, here we go. All right, this whole instant what I give to you. Being you in charge, I will follow you, serving your direction gives me peace. This is me coming up in the form of a policeman. Take a breath. Okay. Here he comes. Good evening. You know, can I see your license and your registration and your insurance? And so I took my license out. And he said, "Did you know?" He said, your brake light is out. One of your brake lights are out. And I'm gonna go check this. And I was like, okay, let me looked at my card, and I took the card out. It was expired, right? And it's in July. So I just like, and so I went, okay, this whole list of what I give you. So, because when he walked up, good evening, how you doing? So I'm looking at me walking up. This is what's going on in my mind. So he goes to the car, and then he says, also you were weaving, you know. So I guess he thought I was high or something, you know. And I just picked up my phone, so actually I was looking at my GPS. Poof, it was right there. He said, okay, all right. So he came back and he said, okay, thank you, Mr. Purdy, and gave me my license and turned around and walked away. He never asked to see my insurance card. Now, the test wasn't whether or not he asked for my insurance card or not, even though I was glad that I changed my mind and it was my dream, and in this dream I decided not to dream up that hassle, because I could have proved I got it, but I still would have had to prove it, right? The test was, would I practice the truth and would I give myself peace regardless of whether he gave me a ticket or not? That's the test. The test is never, do I have the outcome exactly as I think I want it? The test is, can I give myself peace regardless of what happens? And that's what many people miss. That your spiritual tests have nothing to do with, if I'm doing this right and I say I want to make $100,000 a year and then I manifest $100,000 a year, the truth must really work. I say I want a relationship and then I get the relationship, then it must really work. No, it's can I have peace and feel centered if it doesn't happen? Not if it does, but if it doesn't. Am I centered in my peace? Am I centered enough in the truth to say, this is for my own best interest, even if it didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen? Could I have gone, if you give me a ticket, somehow or another that ticket is for my own best interest and there's something I'm supposed to learn from that, and I'm at peace regardless of whether I have the ticket. It's not about whether or not you get your fantasy manifested. It's whether or not you can keep your peace enough to hear your inner guidance about how to see it, what to do, and where to go. That's a different level than how most people who are into manifesting look at things. People who are just into manifesting thinks that God is a genie that you rub his belly so that you can get your toys. It's a very beautiful, innocent, childish approach to spirituality. It's no different from being a little child saying, give me a bicycle, give me a bicycle. Only we're saying, give me a house in Highlands Ranch. Okay, and if you give me the house in Highlands Ranch, God must be real. You see what I'm saying? It's the same attitude. It's not about that. It's about, can I maintain my center enough to hear my inner guidance in every situation that I enter for the rest of my life, and trust that everything that's happening to me is for my own best interest in divine order, and there's some kind of lesson that my soul needs to learn from this that I need to ask what that is so that I don't have to go through this again. That's what a conscious being is doing. That's what a maturing soul is doing. And so it's good to have the house, it's good to have the car, it's good to have the trip. And like I was saying about the wanting to have a festival where I went, then I got a call, and they said, I got a call yesterday morning, they said, we want to, a Skype session, they said, we want to officially invite you to this Course in Miracles festival that we're having in Ibiza, Spain. And we want you to do this festival because we saw your videos, and it represents the kind of joy and spirit that we want to be a part of this, which is people dancing, playing, learning, teaching the Course in Miracles. And we are going to pay all your expenses, and we are going to have catered food, and it's going to last for 8 days. And we have 2 conditions that we'd like to ask you before you do this. And you can imagine, like, hey, all right. What's the 2 conditions? Number 1, you'll be willing to speak out of the whole week, 8 days, 6 hours. And The other condition is you have to stay the whole 8 days. That's it. All right. I think I'll say okay. Right? That happened. That happened.
That's great.
Wow.
Okay, why? Because I was authentically being myself. Even though some people, they don't want to come to my class because I play, joke, dance, do music, chant, go off. They don't want to come. That Earl Purdy gets it going off. You know what I'm saying? But I don't give a hoot. You know, I don't care. You know, I don't care if somebody comes to my class and I'm not their cup of tea. That's okay. That's all right. We don't have to all like everything that's going on around us. But you know what? The people that did said, come to Ibiza, brother. But if I had been like, oh, I'm just going to be how teachers should be. I don't want to offend anybody. They would have never seen me. And I probably wouldn't have had that happen. Be yourself. Be your authentic self, whoever that may be. Because there's no competition for yourself. You don't have any competition. You only have competition when you're trying to be somebody else. You'll never meet another form of God that's just like me. And I'll never meet another form of God that's showing up just like you. You have no competition at all. None of you. Now, would I allow myself to receive it? My radio station kicked butt. You see, I transmitted and I received what was on my vibratory level. You see, that's deep, isn't it? That's so deep. So he says, so those who walk in the bank thinking, God, I wish I could get this business loan, but I just don't know. I don't have any experience in this. And they're going to look at me like I'm a jerk. Then I had another call from a person who was a UN interpreter, translator, who spoke several languages, who lives in the south of France, that wants to bring me to France and would do the interpretations, would do the interpreting for me. You see, my ego can't take credit for anything that I just told you all. You see what I'm saying? The Course in Miracles says you're going to start to have things happen to you that are so great that you can't take credit for it at an ego level. That is so far beyond what you would have thought of. You know it's something else that's going on. And that's what I'm experiencing in my life right now. So I'm not coming from a place of bragging anything. I'm just in awe of God. That's where I'm feeling right now. And it brings up every friggin' thing inside of me that doesn't think I deserve it. That's the part that you got to watch out for. It's like every part of me that goes, oh, I want to play small. I want to play small. I want to play small. It's safe. I want to be small. I got to be small. I feel okay. This is edgy. This is edgy. I got to be willing to go in the unknown. Do something I haven't done before. Trust, 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 trust. So I have to deal with the parts of me that think I'm not worthy now through the truth. Does it make sense? Yeah, it does make sense. So as these good things begin to happen, you realize the part of you that you don't think deserve it, that doesn't think you deserve it, it's going to come up to try to convince you that you don't, so that you won't either take advantage of it, sabotage it, or just don't follow through. So what is my purpose? My purpose is to be here to be a witness to the fact that all of you all deserve it. And to never let you forget that you deserve it, even when you forget you deserve it. That's what happens in a holy relationship. That's what a real relationship is. It's a perfect shelter for you to grow in for who you really are. Not someone who's trying to change you so that you'll satisfy their fantasies, but someone who's saying, who are you? How can I nurture it? How can I help that be expressed and exemplified? That's a holy, happy, healed, sacred relationship. It's not, I got a fantasy, and which one of y'all going to act it out, and how can I get y'all to act it out? How can I make y'all act it out? Because it's all about me, you know. I'm saying all this very matter-of-factly, but it didn't happen matter-of-factly. I had to deal with the part of me that don't believe none of this is true. And still there, by the way. The part that believe this ain't true, none of this is true, this is crazy stuff. Don't believe it doesn't work. The only difference is it used to be my voice. Now it's not. Now it's over there talking, you don't deserve it, you don't deserve it. Thank you for sharing. You deserve it, you deserve it, you deserve it, you deserve it. See, that's the louder voice now, because that's the one I'm willing to side with.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Doggone it, y'all deserve it. And don't come here unless you want to hear you deserve it. Come to my class.
Yeah.
Unless you want to hear that you deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
That's right. You know who to call when you want to be judged. You probably got him on speed dial. Earl Purdy, I heard of that class. But the person who judged me, they're right there. They're on Twitter, Facebook, all of them. Okay? So, those that walk in thinking, God, I wish I could get this loan. I don't have an experience in this. They're going to look at me like I'm a jerk. Walk in with a much reduced energy field. It's very weak. So the quality of vibration of the thought is emanating out and touching the energy field of the loan officer. If you were the loan officer, who would you rather do business with? So therefore, when love leads the way, when love is the field of energy that you're abiding in everywhere you go, because they say, what's my purpose for going to Spain? It's the same purpose for being here, which is to give and receive love, to be a conduit for God. God's just doing it in an environment that sounds really cool. But guess what? This is an environment that's really cool. I enjoy being with you. I'm having a great time, right? It's not I'm going there because I'm dissatisfied with my life where it is in Denver. So I've got to get to Ibiza to be happy. It's like, no. I love it here. I love the people I know here. I'm not trying to go from one place to another because I'm dissatisfied. I like that. And the ones I got like that, that's when all these other things started to show up. Because I wasn't doing it out of a sense of condemnation of my present situation. Yeah. I can't wait to see what's next after I get out of my body and go to whatever the next experience I'm going to have when I leave my body. You know? It's like that's how I look at what people call death. It's like, what's next? I just don't want to do it dramatically. But I might. And if my mind is right, it'll be okay. No matter how I do it. Some of us are dramatic. Some of us laid back. I wonder how I'm going to do it. Actually, it's already done. That's what's really deep. Is that it's already done. You're just remembering. I ain't going to get into it. All right, now, it's too deep. Okay. I don't want to see no heads popping and smoke coming out of people's ears and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get my utility bill down. I didn't come here for that. I'm looking for my soulmate. It's Valentine's Day, man. I'm not ready to hear how I manifested in physical reality. I'm trying to get my kid off drugs. Pass this around, please. It's the contact list. I record, notice, all my classes, and I send them out to the people that's on my mailing list once a week if they want to listen to it. And all my classes are on YouTube and on my website. So you can listen to lots of classes and to remind yourself of this. And it's done on a free will offering basis. Okay. All right, let me stop for a second and throw it open for any questions or any comments. It can also be ahas, not necessarily questions. Did anybody hear anything that was an aha for them? Yes.
I did.
All right.
So I've been coming for a bit and started to, I feel like, really experience some of the joys of this program and really started to see that in my outer experience. And then I think as I started to experience like connection and love and some new job opportunities and some amazing things, like my world crashed. Like I think all of those voices that said like, no way, like, and all the self-sabotaging and all of like that crap has come up over the last couple of days, like with a brutal force. And so I see that, and like I really appreciate what you're saying about latching on to the other voice that like tells you that you're deserving. I was wondering if there's, I mean, obviously the whole book teaches you a lot, but is there anything you would recommend, like specifically when that like self-sabotaging side of you tries to kill you?
I like simple, uncomplicated questions. Yeah, I'll tell you, because I hear that voice all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And what I do is I tell myself it's just a trick to make me think that I don't deserve the thing that I'm asking for. I keep it real simple. This is just a trick to make me think that I'm separate from God. This is just a trick to make me think that I don't deserve the happiness. So I don't fight the voice. I don't condemn myself for having the voice. I just remind myself that the voice is a lie, that is telling me something that's not the truth. And I also don't set the condition that I need to necessarily be happy about what I'm saying, or even necessarily believe it. Because what I'm doing by saying that to myself is I'm showing spirit that I have the willingness to look at it differently. Because the spirit is the healer. God is the healer. Your higher self, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to use, that's who I'm turning it over to. And so remind yourself that it's just a trick to make you think that what you are studying and believing isn't true. It's the old self trying to convince you that the new self that you're birthing isn't real. And just tell yourself that, and then use the truth that you're studying. But don't try to repress what you feel. Feel your feelings completely. Don't pretend you don't feel what you feel. Feel it completely. Then you tell yourself you're the one that's giving it all the meaning that it has for you. Then you tell yourself that you are grateful, that you have the ability to create the way that you see things, because gratitude is real important, right? And then the last thing you do is you tell yourself, I am still as God created me. I'm still as love created me. So no matter what I'm telling myself, I'm still spirit. I'm still love. I'm still love. If you use that 4-step process, you'll reclaim your power back from the fear that's trying to come up. Just keep it simple. 4 steps is a trick. This is a trick. I'm feeling it. This is a trick. I'm sustained by the love of God. This is a trick to make me, I'm entitled to miracles. So that's why I study this stuff, because it's giving me the things to say to myself when those thoughts come up. And the fact that it is coming up, that's great, because that means you did affect yourself. Mm-hmm. You affect yourself enough for it to get threatened. That old self, ooh, she's getting this stuff. I better do something about that right now. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So that's a good sign. So that's what I'm here for. Mm-hmm. To support you, to remind you that you indeed do deserve it, and that's your natural state, is to have a happy, loving, peaceful life, that things are flowing in your perception. Now, okay. All right, we got 15 more minutes. Can y'all hang? Okay, you're doing good. Let me look at your eyes. Everybody, okay. Look like everybody okay. All right, okay. Okay. All right. One thing I love about my class, I attract the cutest people. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's almost distracting. Oh, there's something I'm supposed to be saying. I just want to gawk. And that goes for the guys too. I'm gawking y'all too. I'm an equal opportunity gawker.
Earl.
Yes.
Before you go on ahead, I just got a realization off of what you guys were talking about, because I'm realizing that I have asked for things and they've actually come to me, but then I've believed in the old voice and sabotaging. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, ouch.
Yeah, when you self-sabotage, I went through a period where I self-sabotaged to the point it was ridiculous. Okay? What it proved to me, though, was I could be taken care of even if I didn't have any of the structures that the world taught me you had to have in order to be taken care of. Because what I did was I sabotaged myself because I had so many things that were going. And that one of the ways that sabotage took was absolute, total financial ruin.
Wow.
That's what I did. And because everything it was 1996, I never forget that. Everything I ever wanted happened in 1996. Everything. And I completely wasn't ready. And I just started making stupid, dumb choices. I could see myself do it. Have you ever done that? Know you was doing something like when you gave them that phone number. But you just couldn't have it before you know it. It was like, And what happened was I discovered that I thought I was my credit score. I didn't think I was a child of God. I thought I was my credit score. I thought that I had like easily $500,000, $400,000, $500,000 worth of credit. Wow. I had all the fancy cars, Mercedes, Lexus, all kinds of stuff. And I found that I identified with my material possessions far beyond what I thought, even though I thought I was spiritual and it had come through. But what I saw was I never stopped studying. I never stopped meditating. I didn't turn my back on my path. That was the purpose of it, was to make me turn my back on my path. I didn't do that. And what I saw was I never missed a beat. That everything I needed always showed up in some kind of way. It got to me, even though I probably had a minus 600 credit rating. You know what I'm saying? And so that ended up being a complete blessing, because it taught me beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was something taking care of me besides the structures that I thought I was making up for myself to do it. So it ended up giving me more faith in God instead of less faith in God. But for one reason only, in my perception, because I never let up off the truth. I didn't stop and start to believe the way the world looked at it. I got into the Course in Miracles book more than ever, studying more than ever, teaching more than ever, focusing on the truth. And that's what I see many brothers and sisters do. As soon as they get any kind of challenge, they go back to the world's thought system. They don't come to classes, they don't read books, and they go back into the old thought system and listening to what the world is saying, because then they say, well, I got to go handle this on my own. And that's exactly what your ego wants you to say. That's exactly the root of all evil. It's the idea of autonomy, being self-sufficient, separate from source. That's the root of all evil. If you want to think of evil, you mean use that term, And that's what you got to watch out for. Whatever teaches you that you are self-sufficient, separate from source, that you've got to come up with how you do everything on your own, and then you go to classes so that you can get more information about, so that you can handle it better on your own. And that's what people do. They come to classes like this, not because they want to connect with source and learn how to get rid of the blocks to hearing source. They come to get more information so they can be better at handling it on their own. So they're just increasing the size of their own ego. And then they wonder why I'm going to these classes and all this stuff and my life not getting a little in it. That's because you still think it's you on your own having to figure out how to do it. And things will go worse and worse for you until you surrender to the idea that you are not alone and turn to your higher power within. It's like the pressure will keep getting more and more and more, no matter what classes you go to, until you surrender and go, I give up. And as soon as you say that and really mean it, something happens. Every time, if you mean it. So if your life is getting more and more and more and more and more and more and more pressure, it probably means you are trying to handle it all yourself more and more and more and more. And so literally, you are giving yourself the experience of surrender, but in a way that's not very pleasant. So you could just go ahead and consciously say, I'm willing to learn how to get in touch with my own relationship with my source. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get everything out of the way that keeps me from doing that. Then you don't have to get these challenging lessons just to get you to do it. Because that's the purpose of the challenges, is to get you to do it. So you just say, I'm going to take the shortcut. Not my will, but thine, decide for me. Whatever you want, God, just tell me what you want me to do, Spirit. I'm just willing to do it.
Yeah.
You see, the Course in Miracles is funny. It says, what is God's plan? What's the divine plan? What's God's plan? And I was like looking for some really deep answer. I love this. Listen, what's God's plan? For you to ask God. What? The Creator's plan is for you to start asking the Creator. You think, well, the divine plan is I got to do this, I got to do that. Blah, blah, blah. No. All that comes later. The form that it takes will come later. The main thing is for you to get in the habit of asking for guidance. That's the plan. Wow. And if people in the West do that, I'm really impressed. If people in the West do that, because this is not overall a society that we're taught to do devotion. We're taught to be self-sufficient and inventive and ingenious, not surrendered and open. You know, like you go to India and all those places, their whole society is like built on God. And we got that in terms of a lot of fundamental religion over here. But the challenge of it is that it's rooted in guilt, in sin, and condemnation. So that blows the whole thing. And we don't understand judging others.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like it's not over here. It's just rooted in fear and guilt, which undermines us. Yeah. Okay. Would you acknowledge yourself for hearing this much Holy Spirit? Come on, give it up, everybody in the room. Yes. We're going to do the financial expression of appreciation. I really appreciate it. And then I'm going to wrap it up. So if you're watching online, hold on. We got wrap up coming up here. I really appreciate you all sharing with me. I do the Course in Miracles full time. That's what I do, is this. And so I appreciate you all feeling like what I share is valuable enough for you to share with me. And I am sustained by the love of God. And so are you.
Yes.
You know, and so those of you online, if you want to make a financial expression of appreciation, you can go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and you can do it there. I'm also available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions, where I take all of these metaphysical principles and true principles and apply it to whatever it is you think you're going through right now. And if you're open to it, I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology. So help is available. All you have to do is open yourself up to it. It's so cool. You know, it's a perfect. We are not alone. We have help. And I'm so glad that that's the case. We are. So what I want to do, is there anything else I forgot? Come to check out the Unity Temple service on 11 o'clock on Sunday. This is an awesome, cool, cozy, warm place to come. And we have a fantastic minister, teacher, director, ta-da! Sheila Gaylord sitting right over there. And I want to thank you for everything you do. I love you so much. You've been so loving and supportive of me, and you have always made me feel completely comfortable about being my outrageous self. And I got to finesse cause this, which you are too. I got a sneaking suspicion. So absolutely, we are totally, completely blessed. We got any comments, anything before I do the wrap up of what we've already covered? And a little review.
We love you.
You love me. I love you too. I love you too. It's like we got Valentine's Day coming up right now. Right. I love you too. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. I tell you, I feel like I'm so ridiculously blessed to know all of you. You wouldn't even believe how grateful I am. I love looking at the witnesses that we are to each other. You know, we are here to reflect back to each other our innocence and perfection. You know, and it's it. That's why we're here. And then the stuff we do in the physical world, that's our disguise. Whatever you're doing in the physical world, that's just your excuse to be where you are, to be a light for people. You're literally the light on your job, and you're the light in your family. That's why when you go to those Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas and all that stuff, you're just sitting there with the awareness that we are unlimited spiritual beings in the human body that's here to love. When you say that to any of your relatives, you're bringing light to that gathering, and that's your function. As a matter of fact, you're usually more effective with them if you don't say nothing. That's what I found. That if I just think the truth, it's sufficient. And then when you listen to people around the table, you want to listen from the perspective of what is it that I'm hearing that I can join with. I'm not listening from the perspective of what I can disagree with. I'm listening from who's saying anything I can agree with or support or whatever. Yeah, so this is good. This is good. You all are so cool. Y'all know that? Have anybody told you that lately? That you're freaking awesome?
I told myself that.
Do you tell you that's the way I pretty much guarantee I'll hear it. I don't wait for other people to say loving stuff to me. I go ahead and just cut to the chase and go ahead and say it to myself. Because I used to be waiting for everybody else to say it to me. And then I feel bad if they didn't. Y'all know what I mean? Okay, so take a breath. So realize, first of all, that you are the supreme radio station. And not only are you a radio station, you digital. You HD. You're highly divine. And so what you want to do is you want to let love lead the way. And when love is the field of energy that you are abiding within, everywhere you go, you are touching the universe in a way that is more subtle than your conscious mind. I say it again. Let love lead the way. When love is the field of energy that you are abiding within, everywhere you go, you are touching the universe in a way that is more subtle than your conscious mind. And the universe will respond to you. 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 The universe will respond to me. The universe will respond to me. The universe will respond to me. Universe, 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 respond to me. Your body is like a divining rod, and so is everyone else's. Therefore, those with confidence, those who love themselves, those who are not concerned with the good opinions of the world, who just go forward in the direction of what they love. I tell you, I'm going to say it one more time. Just go forward in the direction of what you love. Of what you love. Just go forward in the direction of what you love. Follow your bliss. Just go forward in the direction of what you love. Follow your bliss. Those who just go forward in the direction of what they love are the ones that seem to gain the greatest support in the universe. Tell yourself, I'm entitled to miracles, 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 I'm entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. Put a little funk in it. I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. Let's say it for each other. You are entitled to miracles. You are entitled to miracles. We are entitled to miracles. We are entitled. Now we're going to let go of the past and go. The past is over. It can touch me not. The past is over. It can touch me not. The past is over. It can touch me not. The past is over. It can touch me not. Now you go. The present is my point of power. The present is my point of power. Yeah. Appreciate y'all, Holy Spirit. Would you acknowledge you? You're so juicy and cute and cool. I appreciate y'all. Hugs are available. Check out the Course in Miracles class that I do here at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And may the Course be with you.
All right.